Hello. Candace Owens was recently on Bill Maher's podcast. It's called Club Random. It's actually really good. I like him much more on the pod. I like him sometimes, except when he goes into his TDS, which he does a little bit with Candace. So I highly recommend watching the full thing. It's up on his YouTube. But we are going to look at two clips together. And I gotta say this first. Obviously, I know that Candace can handle herself. That's not what this is about. But just the optics of seeing a grown man sitting next to a very pregnant woman. She's very pregnant. And he just is continuously like lighting and smoking whatever it is he's smoking. And then just gets into these little anger matches with her. It's just, it's a sight. It's a sight that I haven't really seen much of. But here is the first clip, and watch.
Convicted for what he should be convicted, probably going to be convicted for what he should be convicted for, and I'm sure we agree on this, Candace.
Definitely sure we agree on this.
About, trying to overthrow the government of the United States.
You're just not, you're not a weak enough person to really, I don't buy this. I think you dance this way because you think you have to placate.
Okay, first of all,
no chance. Just to educate that we almost lost America on January 6th. I just don't buy that you're that soft.
Yeah, I do. And just to educate you a little on this, I was saying this for 5 years when everyone was laughing at me for saying this, that Trump would never concede the election and he would never go away. I was all alone on a raft.
But you saw BLM riots, right?
Yeah.
The summer leading up to this, right? Where I lived in DC at this time where you couldn't go outside, cars were flipped, things were burned, people were boarding up their windows. Yeah. But you thought the end of democracy, you can say this meaningful face, happened when people above the age of 65 stormed the Capitol. You thought that was the worst thing you've ever seen in America.
And that was one of his minor flare-ups. That wasn't a big flare-up. It was just a minor flare-up. But it's so funny, and she brings up a great point. If you really think that was almost the end of democracy, then, oh man, you should live in a bubble. You should live in a bubble. And that's where a lot of people in 2020, they just lost me. They totally lost me. I think I had a video a while back that had the peaceful, mostly peaceful but fiery, the CNN reporter and the full-on war zone gear and full-on fire behind him, and he's like this saying it. In the line on the CNN, it said, if I can find it, I'll put it up. It said fiery but mostly peaceful. And then there was another headline. It was from MSNBC, where a bunch of just middle-aged poll workers who happen to be Republican are just looking into a building that they've been locked out of, and they're on their cell phones. Some of them have clipboards, and MSNBC said, this crowd is out of control. You can't be a serious person. You just cannot be a serious person. And it's really funny. It was throughout the whole thing. It was really funny how Candace just shut him down in his tracks and wasn't really having it. I think I'm a fan of pregnant Candace because I've seen her do that a few times recently, pretty brilliantly. Okay, in this next clip, they're actually talking about comedy, and this is one of the times where they really get along, and it was a good moment. I totally agree with a lot of what they were saying, so here is the clip.
Don't you miss being able to make fun of each other in a feel-good way? Go watch the old stand-up comedians. They would walk in, they'd be on stage, and they would just literally, you could not survive. You were Chinese, you're getting a joke. You're black, you're getting a joke about and everyone is being offended, and everyone's laughing. And when they walk out, they're closer. Closer, because you need to have it taken.
You do.
You're not
now when you're walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
See, I can't make a joke because if it's taken the wrong way.
You gotta issue an apology. If it's taken,
and that way we don't get close.
Yeah, we never get closer. Get closer. And I still keep that in my friendships. I make fun of my friends I'm like, oh, well, it's because you're black, or that because you're Spanish, oh, you're Jewish, and that is why we are so close, because we are able to. That is actually how people
and it's not
come
to say
together.
that racism still doesn't
never
going to
go away. There's always going to be stupid people.
Like there will all be criminals.
Yes, exactly. The people are dumb. We get
so true. And it does feel like comedy has died in many, many ways, but I do have to say, and this was my little safe haven of Hollywood when I lived there. I lived really close to the Comedy Store, and I would go there all the time and watch stand-up. And one of my favorite shows was called Kill Tony, which was every single Monday. And it's basically just a lineup of comedians, like a panel of comedians, and then anyone in the audience can put their name in a bucket, and it's about an hour and a half of just going into the bucket, picking up random names, and that person has to come and do a 1 minute uninterrupted stand-up bit, and then they essentially roast you. So it's Tony Hinchcliffe, a Red Band, who is a producer for Joe Rogan, and they would have a famous comedian as a guest come in and do it. And they would make fun of everything about you. That's what a roast is. They had the show, The Roast, on Comedy Central. They actually had, I think it was like Tuesday nights at the Comedy Store, they had a roast. And that's what comedians do, but it's out of love. And they make fun of everything, how you look, your size, your voice, your hair color, your nationality. Everything is on the table. The way you dress, the way you carry yourself, the way you walk. It's all on the table. It all gets made fun of. But it's equal opportunity. No one's safe. And it kind of brings you closer. It helps you to not take yourself so seriously. And it's never out of just being mean. It comes from love. It's like if I'm roasting you as a comedian, more than likely I love you. I'm doing that out of love and joy, and it brings us together. Anyway, I would go to the Comedy Store, and that's where I would think, okay, the world is still sane. We can still laugh, and we can still make fun of each other. And that's also what cuts the tension. And does it not just in our country? Everything feels so tense. People take things way too seriously. We just need to make fun of each other. That's all. Highly recommended episode of Club Random. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later. Bye.